Welcome back to another video, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. So it's Thursday today. I didn't upload a video yesterday. If you're following the Facebook group, you'll know I sort of just took the evening off. I went shopping with the wife and we went out for a meal, which was really nice because December, especially near Christmas, is just a heavy work week. So just to be able to give myself that time off was much needed, because that morning I'd been up since about 2 o'clock in the morning doing work, and it was just a busy day. And I actually tried filming this video twice yesterday, which is one of the reasons we decided to go out, because I filmed this video twice yesterday and each take was about half an hour long, and I didn't want it to be that long, and I wasn't sure how I could cut down on that time with still having the content, because there's a lot of content that we need to go through. So having said that, today's video is on the 4 different methods of selling on Amazon. But quickly before we get into that, yesterday the Facebook group hit 50 members, and when I first started the group, I dreamed of it being this big group and I wanted to help loads of people, but it was sort of a pipe dream, and it's to actually reach 50 members to me was a real milestone. And I thank you so much if you're part of that group. If you're not part of the group, come and join it yet, because it's actually growing by the day now. And I'm just super grateful to everyone that's in their group, and I hope I'm making a difference in your lives, and I hope these videos and what I post on the group is actually helping you, because that's the whole reason I'm doing this. So without further ado, today's video, and there should be 2 videos today, because this should technically have been yesterday's video. But today's video, we're going to be looking at the 4 different methods of selling on Amazon. So they are, as you can see on the screen, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, and private label. Before we get into those 4 methods, I am not personally experienced in arbitrage or wholesale. I've tried my hand at them, so I know what to talk about. But as far as building a business around these methods, I strictly do private label. So let's get into this. Retail arbitrage. What is retail arbitrage? Simply put, it's buying items from a store that are heavily discounted and flipping them on Amazon for a profit. I'm going to skim read these bullets because, like I said, the takes I tried yesterday, both videos were about half an hour, and I don't want this to be a half an hour long video. Retail arbitrage requires you to browse brick and mortar store. If you don't know what brick and mortar is, it just means a physical shop. So you're going to be browsing stores, typically like Walmart, Costco, Asda, any big brand, big branch. And you're going to be browsing the discount section, and then you're going to check on Amazon to see how much it's selling there. If there's profit to be made, you're going to buy it for a discount and then send it to Amazon, and then Bob's your uncle, and you can make some profit. So we're going to jump into pros and cons here. So pros, I'll just go through this list quickly. There's very little startup capital, so you could literally start this business now. Having said that, the scalability is more challenging with arbitrage if you start up with a smaller capital. So for instance, if you go to the shops now and you've got a $50 budget, you could probably find maybe 3 items that are discounted for $50, send it off to Amazon, and maybe you make $75. So that means you've got an extra $25 than you initially did, but now you have to minus all the fees on Amazon. So really, now you've probably got $60. So you've got $10 more than what you did after selling 3 items. So you can see the issues with scalability. So yes, it allows you to start a business with a small startup, but actually scaling that is going to take a very long time. So you can start immediately. It doesn't require a lot of money. And you're also avoiding the heavy shipping costs associated with private label, because you're not shipping from overseas. You're buying from a brick and mortar store, and then you're just sending it to your closest fulfillment center. So obviously, with all of that being said, it means there's less risk involved in this business model. If you're starting with low capital and you're not negotiating with suppliers overseas, and you can start selling now, there's not really any repercussions to if that fails. Maybe you lose $50, but in hindsight, if you're looking to start a business, $50 is nothing. So those are the pros. The cons to this business, to this model, is that you don't own a brand. So it's sort of strange how you own a business that owns money, but the business doesn't really own anything. So with other models like private label, you would own a brand, you would own a business, and that business owns a brand or however many brands you have under that business. Whereas with retail arbitrage, you own a business that has money, but that's all there is to it. So with that said, and this is one of the biggest cons with arbitrage, is that you are literally 100% reliant on there actually being a discount. Because if there's no discount, you're not buying the stock in the first place, and then you won't be able to make money. So your whole business is entirely reliant upon A, there being a discount, and B, you finding it before other people do. And then with that said, there's 1,000 other people looking to buy the exact same product you are. And what that means is that out of those 1,000 people, maybe 50 or 100 people actually buy that item. So that means there's a huge competition for the buy box. And then when that happens, that means you're either going to drop your price down to the lowest on that listing, so people buy your stock, or you wait until everybody else sells out at the lower price and then you sell at the intended price. So the implications of that mean that you're either going to end up with considerably lower margins than what you were anticipating, or it's going to take you a long time to actually sell your stock. So long in some cases that I've heard of that people get charged storage fees. And when the margins are this low in arbitrage and it's only 1 or 2 items, those storage fees actually eat into your margins a lot. So final con I'll discuss, and you can read what's on the screen. The final con is how time consuming this model is. So for me personally, I went into e-commerce because I wanted a business not only that I could run from home, but I could run largely on autopilot or by doing minimal work. And this doesn't suit my needs anyway. So you're going to end up spending most of your time shopping. And yes, you will get paid for it if you are successful and you sell it on Amazon. But ultimately, you're shopping for other people. So not only is it time consuming, but you're also not shopping for yourself. So it's not really for me, but I can definitely see why this is appealing to other people. And then storage. If you are becoming successful, storage can become an issue. So you will either need to hire like a storage facility that you can store your products in, or you're going to end up filling your garage with products in. And I've seen people that have filled their garage like entirely full of stock, and it just gets a bit messy and a bit clumsy. So again, for that reason, this business model isn't really for me. So online arbitrage. This is essentially the same thing, but instead of browsing brick and mortar, you're browsing online. So it's what I tend to call the lazy man's retail arbitrage. So once again, you're browsing online for deeply discounted products, and then you're flipping them on Amazon for a profit. The only real difference here is the methodology in how you're finding your items, and that is you can either spend all day in stores, physically in brick and mortar, looking for discounts, or you can do it online. The main difference there is that when you're doing it online, there is software that you can use that will browse the stores for you. However, they take like 12 to 24 hours to browse, X amount of items. So again, it's just time consuming. You can set everything up and then you have to wait a whole day for results. You might not even get any results from that shop, so it just feels like you've wasted a day. I don't want to sound too critical of these models because I don't want to put people off attempting them if that's what they want, because these models do work, and I've seen people make some really good money and some good profit from this. I just think for me personally, arbitrage isn't for me. I don't really like the idea of it, but I absolutely see the appeal. So if I sound negative, don't let my opinion put you off of making your own decision. So again, the pros and cons are almost identical, which is low startup capital, very low risk in the business. You don't need to source your products in bulk or contact suppliers overseas. And the cons are, again, you don't own a brand. There's sort of limited options in expanding your business, and it's very time consuming. So method number 3 is wholesale. Wholesale is quite a good method, but there's a few intricacies that confuse me when it comes to wholesale, which just makes me doubt the business model as a whole. So what is wholesale? So basically, wholesale is going to require you to talk to the manufacturer directly. So rather than buying a product from a store or sourcing your product overseas, you're going to message the manufacturer directly. So you're going to say Adidas. You're going to message Adidas directly and say, I'm looking to buy in bulk at wholesale price. What sort of offers can you give me? The thing with wholesaling is that, first of all, you need a license to wholesale. So it's a lengthy and costly process. The second reason I think wholesaling is a bit strange is that you have to find a manufacturer that's not currently selling their own product on Amazon, because it would make absolutely zero sense for a company to be selling on Amazon and then to wholesale to you, only for you to start competing against the people that supplied you their products in the first place. So it's a bit strange, because if the brand owner themselves isn't selling on Amazon, which by the way is the biggest market in the entire world, it would make me question why they're so willing to wholesale their product to me, if they themselves aren't selling to the biggest market in the world. So it's just a bit strange. However, wholesaling is a very scalable business if you manage to find good suppliers. Pricing isn't going to fluctuate, so manufacturers will tend to have a set price on a wholesale, whereas if you're browsing Alibaba, suppliers like to rip you off, and you don't really have a way of knowing if they're ripping you off unless you contact a large amount of suppliers, and then you can sort of get an average price point. Whereas wholesale, these are reputable brands, and they're not going to rip you off because they know that they need your return business. So saying that, you will obviously have to order in a very large quantity, but you get very minimal prices. So that sort of sums up the pros and cons. And then finally we have private label. So this, if you haven't gathered, is my preferred method. I think it's the preferred method for most people. So private label basically means you find a product and you stick your brand, you create your logo and your brand, and you stick your logo on a product, you make it your own, you add a variation, you bundle it, you do something with it to differentiate it, and you send it to Amazon and you start selling your own product. The reason I like private label the most is because I physically own the inventory. So with Arbitrage and with Wholesale, you're just selling other people's items. So I feel like I'm essentially an affiliate, and I run my own affiliate website, so I don't feel like I need to be involved in any more affiliation. Whereas with private label, you create your own brand and you get to trademark it, and it's something that you physically own. And with ownership comes pride, and with pride, I believe, comes more dedication. I feel like I am more committed to a business that I physically own a share in, rather than a business that is just making money. Because both are making money, as in Arbitrage, Wholesale and private label. They're all making money, but only in private label do I actually own the brand. So I feel like that commitment to owning the brand would make me work harder. Pros for this is that it's a very passive business model. And what I mean by that is, yes, there is still work to be done on a daily basis, but the majority of the work is done up front before the product gets to Amazon. So the majority of the work is in product research, product sourcing, negotiating with suppliers, negotiating with freight forwarders, and shipping terms. So that is the bulk of the work before your list gets to Amazon. And then when your list gets to Amazon, there are things you can do: optimize your listing, your title, your pictures, your copy. There are a lot of things that goes on after the product gets to Amazon, running PPC, doing giveaways. That's minuscule compared to the amount of work it took you to get your product into Amazon. So having said that, it's a very passive business model once your product is up and running. With the research that goes into your private label product, you should be more confident than any other business model that this product is actually going to sell, because you've done market intelligence and research, and you should be confident saying there is an opportunity here, and I have differentiated my product and I've made it better than my competitors. You should be entering that market confident that you're going to be making sales. You own the listing as well, which means you can personalize and customize the listing as you see fit, and you're also in charge of the marketing strategies, so how you choose to market yourself and your product. You're fully in control of that. And the final pro is that it's a very, very scalable business. So one successful product can quite easily lead into 4 or 5 under the same brand. Even if there's not a marketplace for the other items in your brand, once you have a brand name that's recognized and established and has a good reputation, it's considerably easier to enter into markets where you wouldn't enter if you were just starting up. Cons to private label is that with like Wholesale, it requires a large startup capital. I think Wholesale probably requires the largest startup capital. Private label requires quite a big capital to begin with. So you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000 to begin with. then that's probably going to be somewhere between 500 to 1,000 units, and then shipping, and then money for PPC and giveaways. So that's one big con. So having said that, obviously that means that there's a bigger risk involved with this business, because if you're spending all of this money on a product and it doesn't sell for whatever reason, it means you've obviously lost a lot more than you would have lost if you were just selling one or two items that you bought at a discounted rate. Con number 2 is the lengthy shipping and production time. So from the moment you contact your supplier to the moment your product gets into Amazon, you're probably looking at 6 to 8 weeks, which is quite lengthy. That is only really a con if you are first starting your business, or if you run out of money and you mess up your timing with reordering, because in that instance you will end up running out of stock when your stock is still being sent to Amazon. That obviously damages your listing. If you're out of stock for a week, you're not making any sales, Amazon are obviously going to punish you for that. That means when your second shipment gets back into Amazon, you're going to have to redo some of that work in giveaways and aggressive PPC to get your positioning back up onto page 1. And then the shipping, final con, the shipping is very expensive or lengthy. So it depends. Again, it's one of those things you're going to have to weigh up if you value your time more than your money. If you value your time more, then it means you're probably going to get air shipping, because air shipping is typically between 4 to 7 days. If you value your money more, you will probably go with sea freight, which is normally a minimum of around 3 weeks, sometimes 18 days, but minimum normally around 21 days shipping time. And that's just from one port to the next port. You've still then got to go and pick up the product, or have the product picked up from the port and then delivered to Amazon. But all in all, you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks production and shipping time, so that's quite a lengthy process. But that's all I have for you today. Like I said, there'll be another video later on, because I'm planning on doing, because this should have been yesterday's video, so I'm still planning on doing a video later on. But hopefully that sort of cleared some things up. If you're new to private label, hopefully this has given you an introduction into the different business models, what may be for you, what may not be for you. So just to recap, Arbitrage, quite frankly, they're great business models for people that are just getting into the business with low money. But if you've got the money, then I would take the plunge into private label, or maybe dabble in some wholesale. So that's the video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope the content is relevant. I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep posting on Facebook. And I hope to see you there. So please, if you like the video, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified, and join the Facebook group, because bloody hell, it's growing, and it's growing quicker than I thought it would. And it's exciting times, and I'm glad that you guys are a part of it, and I'm glad to be a part of it too. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.